Well, across the country, people are looking ahead at the day when states of emergency will finally lift. A day when people can once again get together with friends, go to work, move about freely, and what that will look like and when will that happen? Joining me now with more is infectious disease specialist Dr. Abdu Sharkawi. Thank you so much for being here, Doc. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
All right, so most experts agree that a return to normal will require a vaccine, but you say that doesn't mean things will stay the way they are now, that we will ease back into regular life. How can we expect schools and businesses to operate in the months ahead?
Well, I think we have to be very careful about recognizing that we don't want to undo all of the accomplishments that we have made up until this point in time. If we're going to reestablish any of these public institutions, we need to do so very thoughtfully and very carefully, being mindful of distancing, being mindful of how we are going to control the traffic of children or anyone else who is going to help them re-engage in this sort of practice. And that's not a decision that needs to be undertaken lightly. It's got to be taken very carefully.
Mid-April was considered a crucial time for COVID-19 cases. Now, based on the numbers that we've seen and we've been seeing from provinces, is it looking like we're getting a handle on this?
I think we are getting a handle on this, and what we're really seeing that helps demonstrate that is a lowering of what we call the reproductive number and the doubling time, which means that we're getting longer and longer apart between where we're seeing the number of cases double in particular regions, including right here in Ontario. But that doesn't mean that we are past the peak. It doesn't mean that we are now on the downslope, which means we have not yet flattened the curve. So everyone needs to remain patient and vigilant.
What kinds of signals do you think policymakers will be looking for when it comes to whether or not they reopen certain sectors of industries?
I think what we need to see is a sustained reduction in the number of new cases, first of all, and we need to see these outbreaks that are happening in institutional settings die down to a crawl and hopefully become nearly extinguished. The reason for that is we have to remember where the source of these infections are coming from. It's likely from within the community. So until there is not really much of a signal of community transmission, we have to be very cautious about reintroducing any degree of industry and economic replanning.
Let's look to the future, to that glorious day when we have a vaccine. How do you expect it to be distributed? Will it be offered at pharmacies like the flu shot? Will the government be rolling it out? Would it be made mandatory? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that depends on the efficacy of the vaccine and just how likely it is to elicit an immune response that is going to be durable in nature. Most vaccines are generally prioritized initially for those that are at greatest risk. So that would probably mean both people living in long-term care facilities and those looking after them, and people working in the healthcare industry and the public domain in general. I think beyond that, if it is something that is effective and is reasonable in terms of its safety, it could probably be more widely distributed to everyone else thereafter, almost like the flu vaccine, hopefully.
Dr. Abdu Sharkawi, thank you and stay safe.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, now let's bring in Lynn.